This broadcast is coming to you live from our Auckland Park studios. This is Prime News on SABC 3. We present to you your top stories this evening.
Here, no voice is too small. No perspective is too inconvenient to be heard.
President Cyril Ramaphosa has assured South Africans that the cost of the national dialogue will be kept low. The family of the late former Zambian President Edgar Lungu have turned to the Constitutional Court in an urgent bid to appeal the Gauteng High Court in Pretoria's judgment. U.S. President Donald Trump has left for Alaska to attend a summit with his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin.
The focus is solely on us and getting the standards that we know as a team we can get to. So we focus on them on looking at what they've done in the past and also studying their players, see what they can bring.
And South Africa is on a quest to defend their Rugby Championship title against Australia in Johannesburg tomorrow. Good evening and welcome to Prime News on SABC 3, where we are committed to powering your understanding of what is happening in the world around you. My name is Beki Mutumomolete, and here's what's making headlines tonight. President Cyril Ramaphosa has assured South Africans that the cost of the national dialogue will be kept low. He was speaking during the first day of the National Convention in Pretoria. This follows an outcry over the high cost of the dialogue, which was initially estimated at over 740 million rands. The two-day National Convention, which is the launch pad for the broader dialogue, ends tomorrow.
First National Convention of the National Dialogue is taking place as planned. And as the convener, President Cyril Ramaphosa gave the convention the thumbs up.
This is not a partisan platform. This is a national platform. Here, no voice is too small. No perspective is too inconvenient to be heard. We are meeting at a time of profound challenges that confront our country and our people. Economic hardships that our people are living under, unemployment that continues to rise, inequality that besets our people, growing poverty, and a crisis of confidence in our institutions.
The president says money won't be wasted as claimed by some.
I shall not allow the taxpayers' money that amounts to 740 million rand to be utilized. We can have this dialogue much cheaper, much lower. Costs must be the order of the day.
Ntanta Khatlane, SABC News, Pretoria.
Meanwhile, Khoi and San leaders say the fact that they were not invited to form part of the National Convention that is starting today is proof that they are still not being recognized by the South African government. The leaders have stated that the Khoi and San community members who are currently at the convention have not been formally invited and are guests of other representatives.
Khoi and San leaders say a national dialogue without them is a farce. They are furious at their exclusion from the National Convention.
But what about the Khoi and the San people of South Africa? We are nowhere. We are once again been left out. Like in Kodesa, we were not been invited. We are nowhere. So what's happening? We urge the South African government to include us in things that affect us, because everybody is making rules, is talking, have dialogues, even with a white paper on local government. We have been excluded.
They cannot deal with national questions, but then we are not part and parcel of a national question. We are here. We didn't ask to be here. They found us here because why? We are first indigenous, and we are the descendants of first indigenous people of South Africa.
Khoi and San leaders say their communities have a lot to contribute to the conversation.
We need to speak about land. We need to speak about constitutional accommodation. We need to speak about constitutional recognition. We need to speak about a lot of economic and social welfare, economic and social empowerment of our communities.
These leaders say they still hope to join in to add their views as the process unfolds. The process leading up to the two-day national convention has been marred by controversies that include the hefty price tag of the dialogue and the withdrawal of legacy foundations. Ulrich Hendricks, SABC News, Kimberley, Northern Cape.
The family of the late former Zambian president Edgar Lungu has turned to the Constitutional Court in an urgent bid to appeal the Gauteng High Court in Pretoria's full bench judgment that found that the Zambian government is entitled to repatriate Lungu's remains for the purposes of a state funeral and burial. The family seeks to have the entire High Court judgment set aside and replaced with an order that dismisses the Zambian government's applications with cost. Esther Lungu, the widow of former President Lungu, in an affidavit before the Constitutional Court, states that the interests of justice demand an urgent direct appeal. In addition, Esther Lungu adds that no one may be compelled to bury their loved one in accordance with the dictates of a state. This application comes as the parties are said to be in discussions over the dispute, which is set to return to the Gauteng High Court in Pretoria on Monday, 18th of August, 2025. With that said, please allow us to take a quick break. More news for you after this. Welcome back. U.S. President Donald Trump has departed Washington, heading off to Anchorage in Alaska. This ahead of his highly anticipated peace summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin. The face-to-face talks are expected to start around 9 p.m. South African time in what Trump has described as a game of chess, expressing hopes that it would lead to another meeting that would include Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky in due course. The talks will center around a ceasefire deal for Ukraine and that the U.S. seeks a possible way to end the deadliest war in Europe since World War II. Zelensky, who was not invited to the talks with his European allies, fears that Trump might sell out Ukraine by essentially freezing the conflict, recognizing Russian control over 1/5 of the Ukraine. Trump is pressing for a truce in the 3.5-year-old war that would bolster his credentials as a global peacemaker worthy of the Nobel Peace Prize. As for Putin, the summit is already a big win, as he can use it to say that years of Western attempts to isolate Russia have unraveled and that Moscow has retaken its rightful place at the top table of international diplomacy. The summit is the first between a U.S. and Russian leader since 2021. Trump, who once said he could end Russia's war in the Ukraine within 24 hours, conceded that it is a tougher nut to crack than he had thought. Speaking to the SABC earlier today on what to expect possibly from the outcome of the meeting, our SABC News correspondent Tshwane had this to say.
I think what is a certainty is that there will be a great deal of political theater around this historic meeting in Alaska. Of course, as you mentioned, the first time in almost a decade that Vladimir Putin will be on American soil, over 4 years since he's met an American president. So what we can be certain about is that the great political theater that will accompany this engagement. Donald Trump will meet Vladimir Putin's plane on the tarmac in Alaska. This is something that hardly ever happens. A U.S. president awaiting a fellow head of state on the tarmac. United Nations has weighed in. We asked them yesterday what they see this meeting as delivering, and they were very clear. The Secretary General's spokesperson saying the following: we welcome the discussion between these two permanent members of the UNSC. What we want is a full and unconditional ceasefire, a just, sustainable peace, one that upholds Ukraine's sovereignty, territorial integrity, and independence within its internationally recognized borders, in line with the UN Charter, international law, and United Nations resolutions. So what emerges from that composition are two things: ceasefire negotiation, peace talks on Ukraine, but then if they make progress on that first agenda item, Is there going to be a broader discussion around future economic cooperation between the United States and Russia? That certainly appears to be on the cards, given who will be in the room with Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin.
Awaiting trial prisoners in Mokgopong in Limpopo will be returned to their holding cells at the local police station next week as renovations have been completed. Provincial Police Commissioner Lieutenant General Thembi Hadebe was speaking after a crash killed 6 inmates and 1 police officer, 42-year-old Sergeant William Lilaga, yesterday. Sergeant Lilaga was transporting the inmates from the Mokopane holding cells to Mokgopong Magistrates Court for a court appearance.
The mood is somber at Mokgopong police station following a road crash that claimed the life of Sergeant Lilaga while transporting inmates. He died together with 6 inmates yesterday. His colleagues received trauma counseling. The holding cells at the police station were undergoing renovations. Inmates will now be detained at the station instead of at the Mokopane holding cells from next week.
We had a challenge of the holding cells, or of the the cells itself were not up to standard, so they had to be fixed and renovated. And you know that at the time of the renovation, we have to take our prisoners to the next police station, and in this case, they were either detained to Mdimule. If Mdimule is not full, is full, then they will go to Mkopane.
2 of the 5 injured inmates are still receiving medical treatment in hospital. 3 others have been discharged and have been returned to the holding cells.
In total, there were 11. 1 was a female amongst the 11. So 2 are still in hospital, 3 are discharged back to our cells. 6 of them are late, including 1 of our members, the sergeant, who's also late.
Meanwhile, another police van crashed today outside Leboa Khomu. A police officer and an inmate sustained minor injuries. Katlehonyweni, SABC News, Mokgopong.
In our next story, tributes are pouring in on social media for the 61-year-old Johannesburg pilot whose light aircraft crashed into the sea at Suncoast Beach in Durban during an aerial display for school children. His aerial display yesterday came at the end of an international conference focused on attracting young people to the industry. Meanwhile, the search for the wreckage and pilot is continuing under difficult circumstances.
Yesterday, when I got the news, I had a feeling of who it might have been, and I didn't really want to ask, or I didn't want my questions answered, and eventually they were, and yeah, it's unfortunate. So today I came here with the family very quickly just to lay these flowers down here at the site and just pay our respects to a real, true gentleman.
Thank you for staying with us. The Democratic Alliance has officially named Cilliers Brink as its mayoral candidate for the Tshwane municipality, pledging to restore effective governance to the city. The announcement comes amid mounting pressure on current mayor Nasiphi Moya following a Gauteng High Court ruling that found the municipality in breach of a previous order to upgrade the fresh produce market.
The Gauteng High Court has set aside that levy, and despite that, Tshwane's debt has grown above 28 billion rand, which means that this city is not collecting enough and service delivery is going to suffer. But they've also failed to get even the most basic things right. Wastewater, radical intervention in procurement. What are the solutions? Tanker mafias. Instead of fixing the pipes, instead of getting water back in the taps, they found another way to feed the comrades. Tanker mafia. And they have all held conflicts of interest. ANC Deputy Mayor Bonzo Modise failing to declare his personal involvement in a security company doing business with the city. It is not about the people for them. It is about their back pockets and their networks and their families and the car that they drive or the house that they live in. And we're here today to send a strong message. Those days are over. Yes. Best you put your Maserati on auction, because you're going to need the money after the next election.
Springbok captain Siya Kolisi will don the number 8 jersey for the first time in his international career when South Africa kicks off the defence of their Rugby Championship title against Australia in Johannesburg on Saturday. Kolisi says that he's preparing for a busy day against the Wallabies and is confident going into the game.
Kolisi is fast approaching his 100th Test cap and has captained the Boks for more than 60 times. But Saturday against Australia will be a new experience for the skipper. It is the first time he plays a Test match in the number 8 jersey, and that is motivation enough for Kolisi to make this a memorable Test match.
The focus is solely on us and getting in the standards that we know as a team we can get to. So we focus on them on looking at what they've done in the past and also studying their players, see what they can bring. But the most important thing is for me to go out there and be the best that I've ever been in a Springbok jersey.
The Boks were dealt some bad news with replacement front rower Jan-Hendrik Wessels picking up an injury. However, Boan Fanta has fitted in seamlessly because Bok assistant coach Mzwandile Stick says his inclusion doesn't necessitate a change in the composition of the bench or how they approach Australia.
We know the challenge that's coming. Australia is a side that can give you tough times when it comes to ball in hand and give you a lot of challenges. So that's why we preferred to go for that 5-3 split with the backs.
Saturday is the start of the defence of the Rugby Championship for the Springboks. And for the match day 23 at the team photo, also a reminder of who the players are playing for. Simon Burke, SABC News, Johannesburg.
It is now time for us to track the trends and predict the patterns with our weather team. Your forecast is coming up next.
Good evening and welcome. Let's take a look at what to expect weather-wise for tonight as well as tomorrow. Clear skies over the extreme northeastern parts of the country. Otherwise, it will be partly cloudy with isolated showers and thunder showers expected over the northwest into the eastern parts of the Northern Cape in places over the Free State, KwaZulu-Natal and the eastern parts of the Western Cape. Now, scattered showers and thunder showers forecast over the central and southern parts of the Eastern Cape. Now, tomorrow, starting off with early morning fog patches in places over the western, southwestern, southern parts of the country and along our eastern escarpment. Those fog patches expected to reduce visibility to less than 1 kilometer in places. So please do take caution if you are driving early tomorrow morning, and do keep a safe following distance. It will be partly cloudy across most parts of the country. Showers and rain forecast along the western and southwestern coastline into the adjacent interior. And then showers and thunder showers expected over the northwest all the way through to Limpopo, Gauteng, including the Free State, Lesotho, KwaZulu-Natal, and reaching the coastal regions of the Eastern Cape. It will be scattered over the extreme eastern parts of the Eastern Cape, the interior of KwaZulu-Natal, into the central regions of Mpumalanga. Now, the South African Weather Service warning of high fire danger conditions over the western parts of the northwest as well as the western parts of Limpopo, where runaway fault fires are possible. Overnight temperatures in Kimberley and Bloemfontein down to 10 degrees, 11 in Cape Town, Gqeberha down to 14 tomorrow, peaking at 20, Port St. John's a maximum of 23. It will be a warm day in Vryburg and Mahikeng with a high of 25. Cool conditions in Bloemfontein and Johannesburg at 21. Ermelo expecting to peak at 20. That's your weather. To stay tuned.
As the curtain closes on yet another day, we thank you for joining us. We wish you a wonderful weekend ahead. And until next time, from myself, Becky, and the team, stay informed and inspired. Good night.
Thank you.